Hello, I just wanted to do a flip-through video of my Inktober 2019 sketches. 3 weeks after Inktober ended. I actually did finish my sketches on time. I did my last one on Halloween, but I was so burnt out that I didn't feel like doing the video until now. This is the same Inktober sketchbook that I did Inktober's 2017 and 2018 in, and I do have flip-through videos of those if you want to see them. They're on my channel. But for 2019, starting on day one, was Ring. I went for a surreal concept of Saturn's ring, and this is a human personification of him. He has the Saturn symbol on his hat, where it's supposed to be DJ Saturn turning disc nebula around his Saturn ring turntable. So yeah, this was just a warm-up sketch to kick off Inktober this year. Day 2 was mindless, and I went for a little bot, and here, it's hard to tell from this distance, but it says INT, because this is his intelligence processor that fell out of his head, so it's a little bit mindless at this time. Day 3 was bait, and this was one of my favorite sketches I did this year, because it took the longest. Basically, it's just, this is what you see on the surface, this house, and if you look in the reflection, this is what its true nature is, so. Day 4 was freeze, so I just went for this hourglass with frozen shards of ice at the bottom, and up here is a rose with its falling petals frozen in time. Day 5 was build, and this is just illustrating the concept of world building and stories. I'm more of a writer than I am an artist, and shows little tidbits of my world building for the story I'm writing. Day 6 was husky, and I went for something that I don't normally draw, which is mandala patterns. So I just drew a husky side profile made up completely of mandala designs. Day 7 was enchanted, and I just drew this enchanted forest where we have some non-aquatic jellyfish and some fireflies in the background. A little bit inspired by James Cameron's Avatar, so this is what I've got for that day. Day 8 was frail, and this was a catch-up drawing because on day 4 I actually started over from the beginning, so up to the next couple drawings I was catching up again. And this one was definitely a catch-up. I just drew the bare minimum of a colorful butterfly that has its wings kind of flaking off. Day 9 was swing, so I drew this little garden swing with flowers and vines along the sides. Day 10 was pattern, and I'm pretty proud of how this one came out. It's just a hand with henna patterns and designs in the back. If you've seen East Asian brides, they get henna tattoos done with these types of designs on their hands for the wedding day. Day 11 was snow, and I just drew some snowy ruins of what used to be probably a monastery or some such structure like this. Day 12 was dragon, and I was originally going for kind of a neon dragon sign like you would see in some sort of cyberpunk district, but it turned out to just be this, just a white outlined purple and pink dragon. Day 13 was ash, and I drew more of a witchy concept type deal here. We got a cauldron, the pentagon in the background, deer skull, some incense, and wrapped sage, and ashes on the surface. It was around this point that I ran out of my gray shading pen, so from this point on, if I needed something gray, I would have to cross-hatch it like here on a cauldron. Day 14 was overgrown, so I just drew this SQ dresser that's being overtaken by plants. I was inspired by shabby chic themed indoor gardens where people would take old furniture and then plant plants directly in them, and they would grow like this, and it would actually look pretty cool. Day 15 was legend, and I drew the sword in a stone, and technique-wise, this is the first time I managed to get branches, like details in branches. Before this, I wasn't very experienced in shading so that it looks like what it's supposed to, but here I think I did pretty well. Day 16 was wild, and this is my second favorite drawing I did this year. It's an orca coming out of the water with mountains and things in the background. I managed to get water effects pretty well, I think, in my opinion, because last year I did a whale drawing and that didn't turn out as well as I had wanted, but this year I think my skill has gotten a little bit better, so I'm very happy with how my orca turned out. Day 17 was ornaments, so I did this glass ornament with a Halloween scene inside. Got a pumpkin here, a jack-o'-lantern in the foreground, some candles, and a haunted house in the back with gates to a graveyard. Day 18 was Misfit, and this was really fun for me to draw. This is supposed to be a tomboy on a skateboard. Here she's making one of those jumps, got her pants falling, her undergarments are showing through. But yeah, I was really trying to get the detail of the action where she's airborne, so I have her hair and her shirt kind of flying up. But yeah, she's got her tattoos and everything, just a really cool misfit that I had a lot of fun drawing. Day 19 was Sling, so here we have an undead creature, probably necromanced to life by a necromancer or a warlock, and here he is slinging spells. I was running behind again, so I just kind of glossed over the rest of it, but yeah, you can tell like most of the shading and contrasting is done around this armor area here. Day 20 was Tread, and this is personally my least favorite sketch I did this year. I have a girl treading water. This is supposed to be her dress that was supposed to flow as she's submerged, and this is her air bubbles here and the surface. I'm not very good at drawing water still, so I'll have to practice a lot more. Day 21 was Treasure, and this one on social media I actually got the most feedback on. It's just a library, so we have these books. I made it really saturated and multicolored because I was going for an eclectic look. So yeah, this was one of my favorite sketches this year. Day 22 was Ghost, and I drew a spirit bear that is based on the fantasy druid design. Day 23 was Ancient, and so I drew the sea turtle. And I surprised myself with the amount of detail I was able to put in because I do Inktober in gel pens and art markers. So this is definitely one of my favorite sketches for Inktober this year. This little sea turtle, this humble little sea turtle here. Day 24 was Dizzy, and I am less proud of this. This is another one that I kind of rushed through. Well, first of all, I'm not very good at drawing people, but this was supposed to be a ballet dancer that was twirling with these long scarves. Day 25 was Tasty, so I drew this ice cream cone. I didn't put any detail in the hand this time because I was running behind again. I spent most of this Inktober catching up, and I'd catch up, then I'd get behind again on a day, and you can tell this was one of those days. Day 26 was Dark, and this was my absolute favorite sketch I did this year. I attempted cyberpunk scenes in the last two Inktober's I did, but this is the first time I feel like I actually nailed a cyberpunk aesthetic. Like, you look at this and you can tell it's probably futuristic at the least. So this is supposed to be a futuristic gentleman's club. You see patrons here at the stage, and in the background, it's supposed to be taken on a diagonal angle. That's just the artistic form I went for this time. And here we have the dancer on the main stage, already topless. But yeah, I just really like how it turned out. I would change the hand here. I don't like how I drew this hand in. But for the most part, I really like this one. Not necessarily because of the content, but just the way I was able to portray what I wanted to portray. Day 27 was Coat, and here we have a witch hunter with his awesome coat flapping as he walks forward. This is another one where I was trying to show some movement towards the bottom half of the drawing, but the entire concept was based on the witch hunters from the Warhammer universe. I just made my version red because I wanted the contrast going on. But yeah, this is what I did for Coat. Day 28 was Ride, and this is supposed to be another futuristic type motorbike on the roof of a building, and these are supposed to be other buildings in the background, but it did not turn out exactly as I was hoping for. I'm not too mad about this drawing. I do like how the bike came out. Day 29 was Injured, and this is just a little puppy that played too hard, so he has bandages on his forehead now. Looking sad there, but he's probably learned his lesson. Day 30 was Catch, so I drew this Luna moth caught in a jar. I tried to get the glow effect going on here in the jar and on the surface below it, but it was a little bit hard with the markers I had, so hopefully next year I'll get some better markers and see if my glow effects turn out a little bit more prominent. Day 31 was Ripe, so here we have a fruit bat that found the ripe mango. When I posted this on my Facebook, I joked that it was a self-portrait because I always call myself a fruit bat since fruits are my favorite food and mangoes are my absolute favorite fruits ever. So I guess this is me in fruit bat form about to eat this mango. And so that concludes my Inktober 2019 sketches. This is my third time participating. I've done it 2017, 2018, and now 2019. And I always do it from beginning to end. I always finish, even if I'm a couple days behind or if I have to start over, I do eventually finish up to the last drawing. And this year, for some reason, I was just, at the beginning, very demotivated. which is why I ended up starting over on day 4. I didn't like my sketches up to that point. And then through the entire month, I would catch up, and then I would lag behind again, and then catch back up, then lag, and then catch back up. But even though that was my pattern this time, I noticed that the number of sketches, the ratio of the ones that I am proud of and the ones that I'm not proud of, is significantly higher than previous years, meaning that I'm a lot more satisfied with my sketches this time around. There are only 2 or 3 that I don't really like and would redo if I could. But in 2018 and especially 2017, the first year I did Inktober, there were a lot of sketches that I just kind of rushed through just to get them done. And when I look back at them, this one in particular is the one I absolutely hate. Definitely rushed and gave up on halfway through. So this was from 2017. And this is another example from 2018. I absolutely cannot stand this sketch. I don't like looking at it every time I flip through my Inktober sketchbook. So there are a couple of these types of sketches, the past 2 Inktober's, that I just cannot, I just cannot when I look at them. But this year, even though I was lagging and I did rush a couple, such as this butterfly here, I don't hate it like I do something like this. And I don't know if it was because this time I just took my time and I redid what I needed to redo, and it didn't matter to me if I was lagging behind, so I was able to really focus on each one. Another factor is that maybe my skill really is progressing. Maybe I'm improving, even though I only really draw this time during each year. I don't really draw outside of Inktober. I do paint. I paint quite a bit, but when I paint, I never do an underdraw. But yeah, I'm a lot happier with my overall drawings, just not this one. But even this one is, I think, better than the other 2 examples I showed you from the last 2 Inktober's. I'm part of a couple of Inktober groups on Facebook, and some other people were having the same dilemma where they didn't like what they'd done so far around like day 5 or so, and they asked if they should start over. The overwhelming majority of advice was just to keep going. What you've drawn is what you've drawn, and to just look back on those drawings as progress and to see your improvement throughout the entire event. Well, the issue with that advice for me is, if there are entries in my sketchbook, even towards the beginning, that I just really dislike, it will hamper my creative process moving forward. If I happen to glance at them, it is going to affect the quality of my drawings for the rest of Inktober. Looking back on your first sketches and appreciating your progress really only works if you're satisfied with the quality of those sketches in the context of your skill and your time. So for example, my first 4 sketches this year I absolutely hated. I was on the brink of just quitting Inktober. I was already demotivated to begin with. I didn't have a lot of motivation to do Inktober this year. And when my first 4 sketches reflected that, I was just getting even less and less motivated. So when I decided to start over, that's when my inspiration kicked back in. And that's one reason why it can sometimes be advisable to start over if the mere existence of your first sketches are hampering your drawings for the rest of this event. And as I said, I'm glad I did, because now I like 90% of my sketches instead of just 70 or 80% of them. So I just wanted to tack on that little tidbit at the end. If you have any questions or comments for me, let me know. Other than that, thank you for watching.